Welcome to Live Your Best Midlife. I'm your host, Jill Lewis. Join me for inspiring pep talks and expert interviews as we explore staying active, feeling great, and embracing midlife adventures. Whether you're an empty nester, a pickleball enthusiast, or just ready to rediscover your vibrant self, this podcast is for you. Let's make our mid-years our best years. Now, on to the show. Welcome to another episode of Live Your Best Midlife. Today, I'm so thrilled to have a very special guest with me, someone who has taken an incredible leap of faith and stepped into a role that many of us might not have expected, especially in midlife. Kristen Bayer was recently elected as circuit clerk for Williamson County in my hometown of Marion, Illinois, a role that she never imagined herself in, but was called to take on. Kristen and I are going to talk about how this journey has been nothing short of a God thing for her and how she has found courage to step out of her comfort zone at a time when many women might think that their best years are behind them. In this episode, we're going to be exploring how life doesn't get boring after 50 and how embracing new challenges can lead to growth, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Kristen's story is a perfect example of how midlife can be a time for transformation, leadership, and unexpected opportunities. Kristen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I just am going to add this to my things that I would have said I would never, ever do in my life. So never say never.
Oh my gosh, I love that expression. There's every time I've ever said, oh, I'm never doing that, I do it. So I've deleted that from my vocabulary.
Right. Did you watch Gilligan's Island when you were growing up?
Of course.
There's an episode where Gilligan is sitting there and they're going to tell him to dress up like a girl. And he says, no, I'm never, ever won't do it. And the next thing you know, he's dressed as a girl. So that's
I love that.
I feel like I'm in a comedy sometimes.
That's a great throwback, by the way. Okay, let's dive into this. You're my famous friend now, so just get that out of the way. But this role as circuit clerk is something that you never expected to do. And I know that because we've talked about it briefly. But can you walk us through how you got involved in this and what made you say yes to it?
I remember sitting at my mom's dining room table on a Friday, and I received a phone call from Dave McReynolds. Dave McReynolds is currently our county coroner. He runs a funeral home. If Dave McReynolds calls you, you think, oh gosh, what's going on?
Right.
So he had called me because in Williamson County, we have gone through several circuit clerks in the last few years for one reason or another. And they were looking for a new candidate for circuit clerk because our last one had to step down. My name was brought up from Judy K. Main, who's a friend of mine I've known for years, and they were just looking for people that they thought would be good candidates. He called me, told me about it, and I said, absolutely no. No, not for me. He pursued it with me. He had me reach out to other people. I again said no. And then just through this whole process, which there are quite a few things that happened along the way. I don't want to just overindulge with this storytelling, but it just, after everything that happened, I just knew God was calling me to do this. At church, we were doing a sermon series of strong women in the Bible. I have never considered myself a strong woman. I have found through the years that I am stronger than I ever thought I was. But that sermon series was on Esther, and Esther was being called into the government. And I felt a real calling to go forward and just really pray about all of this new possibility and what may be ahead for me. I again wanted to fight it every step of the way. I wasn't going to turn my resume in. And I couldn't sleep that night. God kept me up wrestling with this. I wrestled with it. I stayed up all night. I thought, okay, I'll turn the application in. They can't make me take the job. I might not get an interview, but I got an interview and then was offered the position. That's a shortcut around some of the things. We may circle back through some of that as we go.
Yeah. I got goosebumps when you said that about what was happening in your Bible study, because you had told me we were catching each other coming and going. We really haven't had a deep conversation about this, but you just said, Jill, I don't know what to tell you, but it was just a God thing. So I know me personally, and I think my listeners too would want to know, tell us more about that and how you felt like when everything fell into place.
I had the incident with church with the sermon series that was going along. I started questioning my resume. I'm like, there's no way I can do this. I have a background in court reporting, but then I gave up that career to be a stay-at-home mom. I have no regrets about that. But then after the kids went to school, I took a job in the school system. I was a school secretary. And then I took a job as an office manager. Now, I believe God used all of those things along the way to help prepare me for this role, but I did not feel that my resume would look good. I didn't have a master's degree in something, or I hadn't been working in and of the courthouse in a very long time. And my mom was listening to a podcast and she had sent it to me. And on that podcast, it literally said, put your resume on the altar of God and I will take care of things. And all of this was happening in this time frame. Again, I was questioning and she sent me this.
Oh, I keep getting goosebumps.
It was not something that I would have ever, I kept saying no and I heard God say go. The day I was going to turn my resume in, there was a Facebook article that had come about with regards to who the interim circuit clerk was, and she has been wonderful. But anytime Facebook, I am more of a private person. My Facebook is about my kids and fun things that are going on. I don't like negative things about Facebook, and Facebook can be negative. And so some negative things, positive and negative things were being said, and with regards to the former circuit clerk or different things like that. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do this. I don't want my private life brought to the public forum, which would be and would happen. And that's when I decided I am not going to turn in my resume. And that was the night that I couldn't sleep at night. And then I just thought, some people have really thought enough of me to recommend me for this. And it really does a disservice not to even attempt and just to quit and to say, oh, I'm not good enough, because I really struggled with feeling that I was not good enough or not qualified enough.
Isn't it interesting that I feel like that is so many women, and that's really relatable because I think our go-to response and emotion on something like that is that to be like, oh no, I'm not good enough, I'm not qualified or whatever. And we try to, and then when you really think about it, like you said, you do have a lot of skills. I had to, just in researching to talk to you today, I was looking at all the things that you do in your job position. And I'm like, oh yeah, she would be great at all of that stuff. I can totally see her. I think yeah, it was meant to be.
And even some people were like, who's that? I've never heard of her. It's because I am not a politician and I don't claim to be a politician. If you would have told me last year that I either was going to win the lottery or I would be in a political office, I would have been like, okay, retirement, how much did we win? Is it big? Because there is no way, none, not going to happen.
That is so funny. And that's my favorite thing when I see you. I'm like, you're a politician.
No, and it really, one thing I would say about this position too is I don't know why it is a political role, because in
Agreed.
my position here, I am here to serve the community. I'm here to serve all people of Williamson County. I don't care what your political preference is in this position. This is not something that I have really.
No, it's the courts. You got to, that shouldn't have any part of it. I totally agree. Totally agree. Making this leap in midlife can be so intimidating. So like you had all that self-doubt. Was it really was it your family that was helping you? And I know you said God was speaking to you, but like to come over this like self-doubt and fears to run for office, whether it was unopposed or opposed, I think is so intimidating. Putting your name on signs, and that's a lot when you've never experienced that or never had any intention to.
I think ignorance is bliss, because I didn't realize when it was brought to me, it was basically the position was already won and it was be a replacement. I would not have had to run essentially for office. I did have to put signs out, but that's even just more of getting my name out there, maybe for the future and for you hate to look at reelection type things, but just people to know your name who might not have known your name before. I had no clue really what all it would involve. I found out I had to walk in parades. I had to go ahead and purchase signs. I didn't know what the campaign fund and bank accounts and a D1. I had no idea what any of that was. So those were things that had I had time to really stop and think about it, it probably would have pushed me farther into being afraid to take that leap of faith. I had some other devotionals that really just talked about when a door is open, you don't have to jump and leap through it, you might just tippy toe or take baby steps as long as you're moving in the right direction. It was good. I didn't know what all that might involve. Otherwise, I might not be sitting here.
So funny. I always find it interesting whenever I'm talking to a guest on the podcast, like so many things that you're saying. I think, man, that's all applicable to either little things that I've noticed about my life, which is a totally different job vocation, but still, or even things that I tell my clients, like baby steps. It doesn't have to be all in something. It's just like making progress, moving forward. All those things resonate in my head. But so tell me about your mom has to be so proud. Your kids, your husband have to be so proud. I think that has to be what a cool thing to show your kids that you could do.
When I think about who is most proud, I think of my dad.
Mm.
And he's not with us any longer, but he is who should have been the politician in the family. My mom and I have just talked and laughed and thought about what my dad would have done if he were still alive. I think about my dad a lot in this process. And again, I'm nothing like him in those regards. I would rather stay quiet. He was always out there in lots of organizations, leading lots of organizations, but I know he is just smiling from ear to ear and saying, that's my baby girl, and just very excited for me. My husband, I had to have a lot of support from him to be able to take this step of faith. There are things like putting signs out and things like that he has had to help with that he didn't realize he might have to help with. And then I look at my daughter. My daughter is a very strong female. She has a lot of things that I didn't grow up feeling as strong as she did. And again, that goes back to that strong women and that lack of what I always had in me. But she is a strong woman. I'm very proud of that. I'm glad that I did not invoke in her the timidity that I might have felt growing up. And I do know she is proud of me, and my boys as well. You have boys, you know the difference.
Totally. Oh my gosh. It's great. Okay. What advice do you have for women who feel stuck in their current roles or life circumstances? Like when you think about just the age that we are and how you can embrace new opportunities, even when they are really feeling out of their comfort zone.
Just to you can still go through something and be afraid. It's okay to still be afraid. I was very afraid in this process, but it caused me to rely on God more than I probably ever have in my life. And it has brought a closeness that I had been lacking. I think we all get in when everything's going great, you tend to get in this lull. It definitely caused me to lean on him more. But like I said, just not to be afraid to take chances. I gave up a career when I had children, and I never really thought I would have a career again. So you are not too old to take challenges, make changes. This latter part of my life, we're on the tail end of it. I'm 55, so I'm above that 50 marker. And I'm excited about the changes that are coming about, and I'm happy I made the choice, but it took me a little bit to get here, but it took me a lot of soul searching as well.
It's no secret that my very favorite protein powder in the marketplace is Prime Protein. Why do I like it so much? Well, one, it tastes amazing. I am loving the chocolate and the iced coffee flavors. Those two are my favorites. But grass-fed protein is the new way. So why grass-fed beef over whey or any other plant-based protein powder? Well, beef protein is packed with the collagen, gelatin, and micronutrients that your body needs. They work to repair your joints and soft tissues like plant protein won't. And studies have shown that beef protein provides additional benefits to strength, hypertrophy, and fat loss over whey. Simply put, more beef protein equals faster workout recovery, all-day energy, feeling full for hours, and better skin, bone, and hair health. You can go to today's show notes for the link to order your Prime Protein and use the code JILL for 15% off your first order.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying like you don't really do change. You're not like a huge fan of it.
Change is bad, Jill. When I go on a vacation or when I do anything, I have plan A, I have plan B, and I have plan C just in case A or B didn't work out. So this totally threw me for a loop because this was not something that I saw in my lifetime that I would ever have done.
So, how has your perspective on leadership and service maybe changed since you've started this new role?
God can use anybody. He can use somebody who doesn't have as strong a faith in themselves as they should. My husband always gets mad at me because I'm like, I'll tend to look at the negatives of or pick apart my negatives. And he's, Kristen, you are great for this role. And I've had to look beyond trying not to pick myself apart. But if
Mhm.
I can do it, anybody can do it in the sense of stepping out, and leadership comes in all sizes, in all skill levels, in all areas. We're leaders in our home. I was the office manager at my home for a long time. My husband would say, "What are we doing today?" I'd have to know my calendar, the kids' calendar is his, and his calendar. Anybody can be a leader, and it doesn't have to be on as big a scale as this. I don't think God's necessarily going to call all of you or into service, whether it be in the political realm or anything else, but he can use you in any area.
That's incredible. Oh, such a good answer. What have you learned about yourself through this new journey and career that you didn't know before?
I probably answered that maybe a little bit
Hmm.
earlier in saying that I am stronger than I think I am, and I am capable of more things than what I would have thought. I feel like I have been rising to the occasion. What I've learned from when I started in December until now has been just exponential. It's huge. Now I've forgot a lot, but I've learned a lot. But
I think it's hard too at this age. We say change is hard. We know that change is difficult for so many people. But allowing yourself to be a student and learn and all these things, I think it is also difficult and challenging at any age. So kudos to you for allowing yourself to be a beginner and learn through your mentor or the outgoing or the interim clerk. So that's amazing. What part of the job do you think you like really loving the most?
I think just getting back involved in the legal system, or even after I quit with court reporting, I did continue to proofread. So I just kept in it. But as far as just being involved back in the legal system, when I was out of college, I loved court reporting. I loved being in that atmosphere. I did mainly deposition work. I wasn't necessarily in the courtroom unless some of the smaller areas would hire us out and I did a murder trial and different things like that. So I had been involved in the courtroom, but not like this. But it is refreshing to be around the judges, to be around attorneys. I've got a great staff here, and they have helped me. I couldn't do this without them. I am learning. I just go in and I'm like, I don't know the answers yet, but we're going to learn them together. So I have people that I can call on, but I am learning a lot from the clerks in the office here.
When I was researching this, just looking at this, I guess I forgot about the fact that you are in charge of the jury part of it as well. When you have these big like hearings and thing, I'm like, okay, so you're the one that I'm going to get the letter from if I have to go to jury duty.
I will say this, my name is on the letter. However, the judicial secretaries send those out. So I don't usually know who is on
Who
jury
is,
duty until I get a phone call. And I've had a few. What do I do? How can I get out of this? Different things like that. My first jury trial that I did here, I was another little God wink or just something that was very special because my good friend Doug Corzine ended up being called to jury duty. He ended up being on the jury, and I was
what?
sitting in on it as the clerk there. And that again was just another confirmation for me that my first jury trial, I had a face of someone that was a good friend of mine to
Mm,
be, oh, Doug's sharing this with me.
that's nice. Oh, I love that. Looking back, what would you tell your younger self about embracing change, especially in midlife?
I think too, again, it's going to be not to be scared. I feel like I kind of
Mm.
keep repeating myself, and I
No,
apologize
I love
for
that.
that. But I am more of a personality where I struggled with anxiety over the years. I've struggled with change. So it's just, I don't have to, like I said, I can still be afraid, but it doesn't mean that it has to stop you. So just to embrace change better than what I had. I
Mhm.
feel like as I'm getting older, I am better at that, but I still don't like change.
Yeah. Learn like I feel like for me, I am very controlling about what's happening in my environment. And I'm in the same way where change doesn't bother me so much, but just I like to know, like what you were saying, you have a plan A, plan B, plan C. Like I just do a lot of logistical gymnastics in my brain all the time. I like to know if we have plans that needs to happen, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be really
Right.
highly,
Right.
annoyed by that.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
And a little bit of a perfectionist in certain things. And I think the overall, it's like being able to let go. I do think through the years, as the kids are now, it's probably because the kids aren't around as much, but learning to let go a little bit, like you said, let go and let God. It's yeah, I need to doing more of that. It's getting slightly easier, but
Right.
I think just my daughter's getting ready to graduate college, and I love the lesson there. And just don't be so scared. Everything's gonna be okay. Not everything has to be such a big deal. We can roll with it. Don't be scared. It's okay to put yourself out there for sure.
One of the things is too, just with strong women, I consider my daughter very strong. In generationally, I think we put that out there. We are growing stronger women, and I am glad about that. But one way God used all this for me too is in I'm going to look here. I think it was 2020. My mom had given my daughter a devotional. It was the Confident Woman devotional. And that devotional had been in my daughter's room for years because she'd been at college, been away. And I had packed up in early July-ish this box of stuff of hers to send it back. And so this book was in there. On the day of my interview, my daughter sends me a screenshot. And on the front cover of this book was an inscription from my mother to my daughter as a gift to her. And on the day of my interview, the July 10th, I was sitting in waiting to go in, and she sends me a screenshot from this devotional of the Confident Woman devotional from July 10th. And it's called Extraordinary Things. And it said, throughout history, God has used ordinary people to do amazing, extraordinary things. Yet all of them had to take a step of faith first. They had to confidently press forward into the unknown or unfamiliar before making any progress. They had to believe they could do what they were attempting to do. Achieve comes before believe in the dictionary, but the order is switched in real life. I got that right before I went in for my interview. I got to use that in my interview. It just was such a God thing that back in, 2020, God knew all this. Nothing comes as a surprise to him. We know that as believers, but God used that situation from my mother to my daughter and then to circle back around to me, to give me that confidence and that faith that I had to believe I could do this to achieve what God was asking me to do. And so I wanted to share that. Like I said, that was one of the things that was at that point, I had already made the decision to at least interview. And then once I got that, I just started taking a different mindset that if I'm offered this position, I think this is where God wants me to be, and I might as well embrace it.
You have given me goosebumps like 5 times. I love it. Oh my gosh. That is incredible. So tell me this, what's next for you in this role? I know you're learning and you're doing so much, but how do you see yourself continuing to grow and impact our community?
The position is for 4 years, as long as everything is going well. I've always said, as long as I'm doing a good job, I would hope to stay. If I'm not for any reason, they're not going to have to come drag me out kicking and screaming. My biggest hope is that I get in there and I learn everything I need to for this role. Because again, right now I am still in this learning curve or this learning process. And I think I get to say for at least the first year, I'm new here. I think that kind of works with any job, but in this role as well, it's like as soon as you learn stuff, things change. So there's constantly changing of statutes and laws and the way we do things. My biggest hope is to be in this office and to show integrity, to be honest, to treat anybody who walks in those doors the way I would want to be treated. So just to be fiscally responsible. We deal with a lot of money here. We send a lot of money in, a lot of money out, but I want to be fiscally responsible and to make Williamson County proud because, like I said, the reputation of circuit clerk in the last few years has not been great. And so just kind of want to change that for our county.
Yeah, absolutely. As a friend, I'm so proud of you. I think it's incredible. I absolutely love it. And just as a member of the community, I am so grateful that you took this on and that you are bringing just such integrity to the role as a circuit clerk. And I'm thrilled that Williamson County gets to know you and have you as a representative for us and looking out for the best of Williamson County. So thank you so much, Kristen. You are an inspiration to all of us. And yeah, I'm just happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Live Your Best Midlife. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit that follow button. And if you want to help more people discover my podcast, I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave a rating and a review. Your feedback not only brightens my day, but it helps others to find my show. And if you're craving some more behind the scenes action, follow me on TikTok at Jill Lewis Living or on Instagram at Jill B. Lewis.